What's up, everybody? We're going to be breaking down UFC 280 main event, Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira. A very important fight in the lightweight division, one of the most important fights of the year, if not as of maybe another year, 2 years. But a super important fight, big for the lightweight division, big for the legacy of the lightweight division, big for the legacy of both of these fighters, even Khabib. Because if Charles wins this fight, a lot of people are saying that Charles will likely be the lightweight GOAT. And Khabib would fall to number 2 probably. But Khabib is pretty good, pretty dominant fighter. But again, I would think that if Charles does win this fight, he would be the number 1 lightweight GOAT. But the match has not happened yet, and I'm gonna be breaking down who I think will win this fight, what will happen during a more in-depth breakdown than I did in my full card predictions. I believe my full card predictions for this fight was like 10 minutes long. I covered a couple things there, but I'm gonna be giving a little bit more insight to why, showing a little bit more clips or photos or whatever. I'm not gonna like include any clips, like video clips in this, because I'm not sure what the YouTube copyright thing is. I don't want to take a chance on it, honestly, so I'll put in like a bunch of pictures and things like that that will show what I'm talking about. It'll be very similar anyways, but let's get right into this. I'm going to start off by going over the fighters' previous wins and losses, or at least their last couple. So for Charles Oliveira, his last fight was against Justin Gaethje. For Justin Gaethje, it was for the lightweight title, not for Charles Oliveira because of a scale issue, or it was a weight miss, but a scale issue really. But for that fight, it was a very, very fun fight. I believe I was at that one. Super fun fight. Immediately, Charles goes out there and hurts Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje knocks him down twice, or he falls down into his guard, hoping comes in. I don't even know what it really is for Charles Oliveira. I feel like the only time he really gotten knocked down for sure was against Michael Chandler, because he like fell forward. But even like the Dustin Poirier fight and the Justin Gaethje fight, like I don't even know if he's actually rocked or anything, or if he's just like a little bit hurt and he wants people to go in his guard, so he falls back. Not really smart for a fight that could possibly go to a decision and get points, but in his mind he's like, I'm gonna die on this sword anyways, so might as well try and get people in my guard. But yes, he got dropped like a couple times, got back up, walked down Justin Gaethje, knocked him down pretty badly. Justin Gaethje said he had amazing power in his hands. I think he said it was the hardest he's ever been hit. I'm not too sure though. He said it was like a battery on his tongue, which Justin Gaethje would probably be the only one to know what that feels like. But Justin Gaethje, they end up on the ground. Charles Oliveira puts him in an inverted triangle, doesn't really get it in. They scramble out of it a little bit, and then Charles ends up on Justin Gaethje's back and ends up submitting him there. For the Dustin Poirier fight, I believe it does go 3 rounds. First round, Dustin Poirier kind of beats the crap out of Charles Oliveira. I believe knocks him down a couple times in that one, if not once. Second round, I believe Dustin Poirier is mostly on his back. The whole narrative going in there was that he didn't want to make the same mistake he did against Khabib, and he didn't want to get choked out, which ended up happening anyways. But he didn't want to get himself caught in a submission or tire himself out where he can't last as long. The third round, Charles Oliveira puts it together, hops on Dustin Poirier's back, and chokes him out by rear naked choke. Michael Chandler before that for the lightweight title. The last one was for the lightweight title, also Charles Oliveira's first defense, but this one's for the actual lightweight title. Dustin Poirier wanted that money fight versus Conor McGregor. But this fight against Michael Chandler, I believe Michael Chandler gave Charles Oliveira's first 10-8 round in forever. I believe one of the judges or two of the judges gave Chandler the 10-8 round for that one. Charles Oliveira was on Michael Chandler's back, was looking to submit him, but Michael Chandler was able to defend it, pick him up, slam him, and then knock him down in that round. Hurt him pretty badly. Charles Oliveira comes back in the next round, hurts Michael Chandler, and eventually TKO, KO, knocks him out. It looked like more like a knockout, but came back, looked really good in that fight, and basically has been riding that momentum since then. Hasn't given up on himself like he did before. But for Islam Makhachev, his last fight was a win over Bobby Green, TKO win. Basically in that fight, they're kind of just panning a little bit, and just standing there on the feet for like a minute. Islam eventually takes him down, gets him in his full mount, and just starts ground and pounding him there. Ended the fight for Bobby Green there. Dan Hooker was a Kimura win finish. They kind of stay on the feet a little bit shorter than the Bobby Green fight, but Islam eventually takes him down, puts him in a Kimura relatively quickly, and wins that fight also. Both of those fights were on short notice also. Before that, we had Thiago Moises versus Islam Makhachev in a 5-round fight night main event. Islam wins in the 4th round by rear naked choke. One of his tougher matchups as of recent, because Thiago Moises is a pretty good jiu-jitsu guy, good grappler, pretty solid on the feet also, which Islam tends to struggle. I don't want to say struggle, but a lot of his competitive fights are with guys that are good on the ground, good grappling, and solid on the feet. So that is very, very important to know before heading into this fight. Charles Oliveira does also have a 3.5-inch reach advantage in this fight. So, getting into the fight itself, I believe this can go one or two ways. This can either go Islam. It kind of depends on what Islam wants to do here. He kind of gets to decide and kind of control where this fight kind of goes. For Islam, if he wants us to stay on the feet, he's going to let Charles Oliveira go out there and keep him on the feet, which I believe would not be a good idea for him. Or you can shoot immediately, try and get Charles on the ground, and try and become like a wet blanket on top of him, make him tire out for the first couple rounds, because Charles Oliveira will like to throw up a bunch of submissions, but tire him out for the first couple rounds, and then do most of his work in the later rounds after Charles Oliveira is already tired, and he's going to be able to operate more submissions there, probably finish Charles Oliveira inside the distance, or go to a decision if he does. Kind of make it boring on the ground, lay on him a little bit, half guard camp. But again, this is up to Islam. I believe Islam needs to go and shoot immediately to do this, to actually try and win this fight. I believe if he lets it stay on the feet for even like a minute, I believe he's going to get hurt really badly or KO'd. But yeah, well, let me get into more of how I came to this conclusion, or how I see this kind of going with both of these guys' previous fights. For Charles Oliveira, he has a pretty good guillotine if you want to check it. Kevin Lee, he, I believe, was at third round. I believe he choked out Kevin Lee at the beginning of it. First round, second round. There was actually spots in here that are pretty important for Makhachev too. But Kevin Lee eventually took like an iffy takedown. Charles Oliveira was able to get in a really good guillotine, a really good choke. Yeah, even then, like a solid takedown choke. He always finds the choke. He's really good against those guillotines. Even Clay Guida in that fight was able to find the guillotine choke off a takedown. So Makhachev is gonna have to be like on his craft and things like that, trying to take down Charles Oliveira. Some of these Dagestani fighters like to give up their neck quite a bit, including Islam Makhachev and Khabib. But for Islam in his past couple fights his later fights where he's given up his neck, Chris Wade, he did it a couple times. I believe in the beginning, early part of the fight, we took down Chris Wade. He was actually in a pretty gnarly guillotine. Was eventually able to get out of it, but it looked like it was doing a little bit to him. Second one wasn't as bad. It wasn't really in too well. The Hooker one, he kind of gave up his neck a little bit. It wasn't too crazy. But also, and I think is important, is the not giving up a limb either. Like, this is why I think it's important to wet blanket in the fight against Charles Oliveira. Giving up anything to Charles, he's going to take it and he's going to run with it. So, like a leg lock or a knee bar or heel hook, very important too when you're in grappling mode, not to give up that kind of thing in there, because Charles Oliveira will play very defensive in the fight. Bobby Green, there's like moments in there where someone like Charles Oliveira could hit a knee bar there. Thiago Moises, in that fight, there was a point where Thiago Moises had like I don't know what he was actually going for there, but like a knee bar, heel hook. But he had a leg. And for like 30 seconds, you see Islam Makhachev looking around, asking Khabib to like for advice to get out of the choke, which I think for a guy like Oliveira, I think he's a lot better in grappling than a Thiago Moises, and I think he would finish it there. I don't think Islam will have like any time to really ask for Coach Khabib to help him there. So hopefully he's been training quite a bit in jiu-jitsu, doing a lot better in it, learning how to get out of those submissions a little bit better and not having to worry. Have it more like an instinct, him trying to get out of it himself instead of in a loud arena looking for Khabib, because Charles Oliveira is very quick with it. He finds submissions. He finds a way to end the fight. It's not like a perfect submission every time. Just finds a way to end the fight every single time he tries to. That was a very weird thing. But for the Charles Oliveira and Kevin Lee fight, there was a point, I believe I said it before, in the second round. There's like a couple minutes into it. Eventually, Kevin Lee gets on top, gets in half guard, and basically just lays on Charles Oliveira. Happened to him before, 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes. I think Charles Oliveira was trying to reserve a little bit of energy or something, but Kevin Lee was able to get on top of him and lay on him and not allow Charles Oliveira to do much to him. So I think that's exactly what Islam's going to have to do here. That's the only thing I saw that would benefit him in this situation where he wouldn't be getting caught in a choke, because multiple times Kevin Lee was giving up a leg. Obviously, he got submitted by a guillotine. I think even Charles went for a rear naked choke in that fight. There's a lot of ways Charles can win off his back, so it's very dangerous. And this is just in a way that Islam can bring it to the ground and not have to worry about this issue. Imagine it on the feet, where Charles Oliveira, I believe, has an advantage in this fight. Islam is all right on the feet, but Charles Oliveira, I believe, is levels ahead of him. More power, a little bit more technical, and can do a lot more damage there. So how I believe these fights end for Islam Makhachev, basically tire out Charles Oliveira on the ground, shoot very, very early just to get Charles Oliveira tired. Like in the Felder fight, Charles Oliveira was going for a lot of submissions, tiring himself out in the second round. Felder was able to ground and pound him, and basically Charles tapped to strikes. The ref didn't really see it, but he was tapping to it. For Charles Oliveira, finish this as quickly as possible, get in there, go super wild. Even if Islam tries to take down Charles Oliveira, I do think Charles does have a pretty solid chance off his back also. Has a really nice guillotine we saw against Dustin Poirier and like Khabib. I think I already mentioned this or not, but against Khabib gave up his neck, got almost in like some pretty bad trouble with the guillotine against Dustin Poirier. A guy like Charles Oliveira, I don't believe gives that up as easily. I think he has a super tight guillotine and a lot better jiu-jitsu than a Dustin Poirier for sure. But on the feet, again, this is Charles's area. I can see, is there a chance that Islam Makhachev hurts Charles Oliveira on the feet? Yes, there's a chance. It is very small. Just like how there's a chance if it's over 2 rounds, 2.5 rounds, 3 rounds, Charles Oliveira can't really do much on the ground after that. Get sweaty, tired. It's gonna be hard to get those submissions in. And Charles Oliveira, I believe, will just tire himself out at that point. Islam will definitely be the more conditioned fighter. Not that their conditioning is bad. I just think Charles Oliveira does a lot, and I think he'll be tired by then. But on the feet, again, for I guess I kind of got away from what I was talking about. For Islam winning, shoot immediately, get him on the ground, wet blanket, make Oliveira do a bunch of stuff to try and get out, try and get him to tire himself out, avoid submissions without a doubt. Bring this past the first or second, third round. Don't get too comfortable on the feet. Get him down immediately, and then you can submit him or something like that, 4th or 5th round, or go to a decision. That is likely his way of victory. Or you can hurt him on the feet and then submit him on the ground. In the 1% chance likelihood that it will happen, and watch it happen too. 5% chance. I'll give it 5% chance. But for Charles Oliveira, he needs to go out there, go wild, front kicks, just overwhelm Islam. He's going to be in a big stadium, 5-round fight, a lot of people there chanting his name. This is not just about him too. This is about Khabib's legacy And the same thing with his father. I believe his father wanted Khabib to go in and fulfill Islam getting the title too. So there's a lot on Islam's plate here. A lot on Khabib's plate. There's a lot of pressure on him. Not saying that there's not a lot of pressure on Charles, but he's been in this position 3 times before. So, and obviously in opposite territory, so you'll have guys cheering for like a Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, and Michael Chandler. Charles Oliveira has been in this position before, obviously not against Islam Makhachev, but a different area Islam will be in this fight. Big stadium, lots of crowd noise, lots of pressure for him. Charles Oliveira should overwhelm him, get Islam a little bit nervous, make Islam a little tentative, get him to shoot like a bad takedown maybe. Then you get the guillotine choke if you want, or hurt him really bad. He does a bad takedown, guillotine again, rear naked choke, something that choke him out there, or you can KO him on the feet. He has been KO'd before against Adriano Martin, I believe I'm saying that right. Against Davey Ramos I should have double checked these names. Davey Ramos. I actually think I'm saying that wrong. He hurt him on the feet with a jab. Didn't necessarily drop him to the ground, but hurt him on the feet. Again, not in all, but in most of Islam's fights where there's a jiu-jitsu threat, he is very uncomfortable. It seems like he's very uncomfortable. He's not, I don't know, it's not as dominant as it is before. It's super competitive. He's a little tentative to get it to the ground. That's what I'm saying. It'll be very different for him to try and get this down really early. In his other fights, he's kind of sitting there on the feet. But Charles Oliveira is a different kind of striker than the guys he's fought before. So it will just be different for him. So he'll have to get it down to the ground, even if he doesn't like it. I don't think he should even try to strike with Charles. If he does, I do think it ends. So I'm gonna go with Charles Oliveira. I just think he has more ways to win the fight. Islam, I think he only has like a couple ways to win this fight, so that's the only reason why I'm going with Charles here. It is a very close fight in general, but again, Charles just has more ways to win. He has ways to win on the ground, ways to win on the feet. Again, Islam does have the little chance that he can to win on the feet, maybe catch Charles. I don't think it's likely though. I think he needs the like wet blanket, stay in half guard camp, do what he has to do, make it boring. You're in your home area, not home area, but he's in a better area. They'll be cheering for him. He won't get booed on the ground, so it's not like the refs will stand it up or anything. Maybe they will, who knows. But just make it boring. The first couple rounds, get Charles Oliveira to tire himself. That's the only way I see it. And even then, like, Charles can throw like a flying knee or something, like something crazy. Like, Charles is super wild on the feet. I don't think, maybe Bobby Green you can say is a little wild too with the little hand things he does. But even then, that didn't last that long on the feet. Charles Oliveira will literally walk him down. So that's why I'm going to give it to Charles. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys next time.